Sigoni, Sigoni, how's your macaroni?
Hey guys, and welcome back to another crochet tutorial for beginners. Today we're going to go over how to work into the chain stitch, also known as the foundation chain. Did you know there's actually 3 different ways you can work into a foundation chain? Well, let me show you the difference between each. So here we have a typical foundation chain. I've already tied off my work just so we could dig into it a little bit better. But this is the way you would look at your chain as you are crocheting. So let's dissect this bad boy a little bit. Each of our chains are these 2 lines. So they look sort of like a V. So this is 1 chain here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So whenever we look for our chain, this V is what we're looking for. But there really is no right way on how to work into the chain stitch. You can really work it into 3 different places, and it all depends on your preference, what's easiest, or what you're making. So like I said, there are 3 ways that you can work into your chain. Right now, I'm going to show you the first way. And that way is to simply place your hook into that top loop there. So we have a loop here and a loop here, just like that V that I was showing you earlier. Loop here, loop here. This loop is just the top loop. So we're going to insert our hook there, and we're just going to single crochet for this example. And so that's how you work into that top loop only. And so I'm going to work into the rest of the row so you can see what this starts to look like. This is the way that most people learn how to crochet, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So if this is the way that you like to work into your foundation chain, then just keep doing that. So sometimes whenever you're working through the top loop of a chain stitch, you can have these holes here. Now sometimes you can avoid that by pulling it a little bit just to stretch it out. And the more you work, sometimes it just disappears. But it can also just leave a gap there, and some people don't like that. Other people, it doesn't bother. So like I said, it is completely your preference. Also, it doesn't have as nice of a border here. I don't think it's too bad, but you'll understand what I mean when I show you the third way. So now let's take a look at the second way to work into a chain stitch. Remember how I said that each chain stitch looks like a V? Well, for the second way to work into your foundation chain, you're going to insert your hook under both of these loops here. So these 2 loops, you'll go under here and grab both of those loops and make your stitch. And then the next will go under these 2 loops, so these 2 here. And again, repeat that across the row. And this is actually the way that the Craft Yarn Council teaches students in their certified instructor program. And as with anything, it does take some time to get the hang of. As you can tell, that's normally not how I work into my chain stitch. But with the second way to work into your foundation chain, you can see here that there's less of a gap. So actually there's no gap at all. And to me, it looks really nice and neat. We still have this little bar here, which isn't the prettiest, but again, I will show you in the third way how to make that look a little bit better. So this is the second way you can work into your foundation chain. So now we're going to cover how to work into a chain stitch the third way. The third way to do this is really my personal favorite, but it's also kind of the trickiest, and it's really not that hard, but out of the 3, I would say that this is the trickiest one to do. But with a little practice, you can do anything, right? So as I've said multiple times now, this chain stitch is this V here. But whenever you turn your chain to the back, you can see these bumps. And so the third way to work into your foundation chain is by working into these bumps. So to do that, we're going to turn our work. And for the single crochet, we're going to work into our second chain. So turn your work here. We have our first chain and then the second chain. So we're going to work into this back bump here. So just insert your hook into that back bump and create your single crochet. And to continue working this stitch, just make sure that your chain is flipped to the side and you can see all of these back bumps here. So we're just going to insert our hook into that next back bump, just like that. All right, so that's how we work the single crochet into the back bump of the foundation chain. Now, the reason why I like this way the best is because of this really clean finish. So the stitches at the bottom look just like the stitches on the top, and I really like that look. Plus, there's no spacing or anything at the bottom of these stitches. One reason why I would choose this way over another is if I'm creating something that doesn't have a border. So if I'm creating a blanket that isn't going to have a border, or if I'm creating a garment that I want to have a nice finishing on, then this is the way that I would choose, just because it looks prettiest. But again, totally up to you. It does not matter. There is no right way. If you are creating something that has a border, then it really doesn't matter how you work into your chain stitches, because you're going to have that border that'll make it nice and pretty anyway. All right, so I created a couple swatches so that you could really see the difference between the different ways that you can crochet into your chain. So right here is the first swatch that we created, and for the foundation chain, we worked into that top loop only of the chain. So this is what the bottom looks like when you do that. So you can still see that bottom loop of the chain stitch. Now for the second way, we kind of went through the top and the back loop. So we were going under 2 strands of yarn. It looks a little bit neater than the first way, but we can still see that bottom loop from the chain stitch originally. And now for the third way that we worked into our chain, we actually worked into the back bump of each chain stitch. And so by doing that, the bottom of our work looks exactly like the top of our work. So way number 3 is definitely the most neat, but like I said before, this is completely personal preference and whatever you decide to do. If you're working a project that has a border, these two are completely fine to use because your border is going to cover up the bottoms anyway. Unless you prefer this method, the only time I would really tell you you should use it is if you're creating a garment that doesn't have a border and you just want things to look a little bit neater. So now that you know that there's 3 different ways that you can work into your chain stitch or the foundation chain, which way do you crochet into your foundation chain? Tell me in the comments. All right, that's it for today's tutorial on the 3 different ways to crochet into a chain stitch, also known as the foundation chain. If you like this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more beginner tips, tricks, and hacks. I'll see you next time.